Well, that leads me into the filth, and to kind of wind up. You know, that's the trouble with it, is trying to decide what to call these words, man, or trying to decide what to call this whole thing. You know, what are these words that I'm talking about? They're just words that we've decided, sort of decided, not to use all the time. That's about the only thing you can really say about them for sure. That they're just some words, not many either, just a few, that we've decided, well, we won't use them all the time. Sometimes, well, yeah. Sometimes it's okay, but not all the time. And they're the only words that seem to have that restriction. I mean, there are a lot of words you can say whenever you want, you know. Pneumonia! Nobody gives you a lot of... All right, you can't yell it in the hospital a great deal, but what the... There are words that you can say, no problem. Topography! No one has ever gone to jail for screaming topography. But there are some words that you can go to jail for. There are some words that we just have decided we will not say all the time. Sometimes, okay. If you're running through the jungle, chasing somebody that we're at war with, you can holler them. If you're shooting a criminal, it's okay. It's the all-American thing. Dirty fucking crook. But if you're with the bishop's wife at lunch, it's better not to ask for the goddamn lettuce. You know what I mean? It's just like we've decided there'll be some words we won't say all the time. And I was just trying to find out which words they were. For sure, all of them. I wanted a list. Because nobody gives you a list. That's the problem. They don't give you a list. Wouldn't you think it'd be normal if they didn't want you to say something to tell you what it is? Nobody even tells you when you're a kid what the words are that you're supposed to avoid. You have to say them to find out which ones they are. That's two. Oh, Ma, that's enough trial and error, huh? Please, Ma, give me a list, huh? All right, you're 6 years old now, and here's the list of words your dad and I don't ever want to hear you say. Oh, hey, thanks, Ma. Boy, that's going to save me an kicking or two. Yeah, you never know what's going to be on the list. Because it's always somebody else's list. You didn't make that up. Somebody told you that. They told you, better not say that. So you got to... And you don't know what's going to be on their list. God, people's lists even change from day to day. Some people on Friday night got a list, you know, not about 2 or 3 words. Sunday morning, God, there's 27 words on it. These are the same people 2 days later. Different list. So you got to kind of watch out what you're going to believe from them. The trouble is, I was trying to find out what these words might be, and I wanted to know the ones that you could never say on television. I mean the filthy words that are always filthy. There are a lot of these little two-way, double entendre words that have 2 meanings, words that are okay part of the time. I call them like part-time filth. Some of these words, they're only 50% dirty. You have words like is hardly even a dirty word anymore, but it has a few meanings that you can't say on television. That's what I was talking about. What can you say on television? That's another one of those places where we can't use these words all the time. But some of them are all right some of the time. Ass is all right on television. You can say on television things like, well, you've made a perfect ass of yourself tonight. But you can't say, hey, let's go get some ass. Is another word like that, same kind of word. It's only dirty part of the time. Depends on what you mean by bitch. You might be the lady from the San Diego Zoo visiting one of the Tonight shows, and you might just have a bunch of little canines with you there. One of them is a female. You say, there's the bitch, Johnny, and it's okay, fine. Just don't refer to the singer the same way. That's all. Is that bitch going to do another number? Yes. Animals are fine on those two-way words, and that's it. That's what I was trying to find. The words that were always dirty, not just part of the time, but completely filth. Well, in looking for these words, I kept finding new categories. We have so many ways of describing these dirty words. Well, we have more ways to describe dirty words than we actually have dirty words. That seems a little strange to me. It seems to indicate that somebody was awfully interested in these words. They kept referring to them. They called them bad words, dirty, filthy, foul, vile, vulgar, coarse, in poor taste, unseemly, street talk, gutter talk, locker room language, barracks talk, bawdy, naughty, saucy, raunchy, rude, crude, lewd, lascivious, indecent, profane, obscene, blue, off-color, risque, suggestive, cursing, cussing, swearing, and all I could think of was That's all I had. That was my original list. I knew it wasn't complete, but it was a starter set, you know? Yes, WBAI is the one who played them. And now, motherfucker came off the list immediately. The first day, in fact, I had a call from an English language purist. Some guy had to talk, you know, he got on the phone. He tells me I have a duplicate on my list. I have a duplication. He says, motherfucker is a duplication of the word technically, because is the root form, motherfucker being derivative, therefore it constitutes duplication. And I said, hey, motherfucker, how did you get my phone number anyway? I didn't even know I got phone. I said, look, man, it may be derivative, but you still can't say it. Still can't say motherfucker on TV, can you? He said, no, but you can't say f***y, f***ing, f***ola, f***roony, or f***erino either. Well, I said, yeah, that would crowd up my list something awful. So I just struck that motherfucker away. Struck it from the list. Motherfucker was gone. Now the list was Does it sound like something's missing? Does it sound like an old friend is gone? Remember the old rhythm? Now it falls apart. It isn't going anywhere. And by now, is the dominant word on the list. Previously, with on the list, was somewhat balanced out. They were the only multisyllabic words on the list. But now, stands alone. And who knows, maybe it doesn't belong either. After all, motherfucker turned out to be a ringer. Let's take a look at See if this one belongs. We'll divide the word and from each other, those words. Sucker isn't dirty. Sucker, it's suggestive as hell. But it isn't dirty. And that's not dirty all the time. That's one of those words that's only partly filthy. If you're talking about the animal, it's perfectly all right. They used to read that to us from the Bible in 3rd grade. And we would laugh, man. Cock is in the Bible. Remember the first time you heard about a cockfight? What? No. And even the word cock itself has been twisted out of all of its original meaning. It's been distorted. For some reason now, cock means bad man. It's a good woman. How did they do that? How did they do that? Well, is on the end of the list. And you know it doesn't belong on that list. I mean, it really doesn't belong in with that kind of heavyweight filth. Isn't dirty. This cute name. Cute thing, cute idea. Great fun. Cute word. Nice word. I love a word that spells the same forwards and backwards like Don't you think it's so cute when a word is spelled the same forwards and backwards? I always wished my name was Otto. Just so I could walk backwards and yell my name, you know? Otto! 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 Well, I had strange dreams. But the word is on the list because you can't say it on television. You can't say it. Imagine that. Can't say it. You can say boobs. Boob is spelled the same forwards and backwards, too. Boobs is all right. You can't say but you can say boobs. In fact, boobs is an answer now on Match Game. I had boobs, Gene. Boobs, $200. $200 fine, maybe. You can't say and you can't say either on television. However, you can refer to you can talk about They do that all the time. Some of the times, the show you're watching, two people are probably in the other room. Is all right. Is part of the plot. A lot of plots are based on Will they Should they Have they Did they Will they again? Will they get sick from Are they too much? Will they each other's friends? Will they have a baby from Will they be sorry they Will they be glad they All stories. Every honeymoon joke is a joke. Have you ever noticed it? Otherwise, the people wouldn't be on their honeymoon in the joke. They'd be knights or they'd be sailors or something. If they're on their honeymoon, got to be a joke. Every quiz master has stood there with his newlywed couple and said, and I understand you folks are on your honeymoon. Lots of going on here. Lots of over here. So they talk about all they want. They just don't call it that. They don't call it what it is. They call it other things. They call it making love, which is fine. They call it going to bed with someone, having an affair, sleeping together. But they don't call it Twat is on the list for the same reason. It doesn't mean anything else. You know, it only has that one meaning. That's that. It's not like is one of those part-time dirty words. Is all right. You can say on television. You can say, I pricked my finger. Just don't say you fingered your Now, there are two words left which I will wind this thing up with. One of them is not dirty all the time. One of them is ball, or is a word that's mostly clean. It has many clean meanings, but it has a couple of meanings that might get you in trouble. And ball is one of those words you got to think about how you're going to say it. Maybe you have to watch out for just a moment, but it's okay for sports people. Perfectly all right. When you're a kid, you grow up, they tell you, go play with your ball. Really? But it's okay for the sports announcer on the game of the week to tell you that Pete Rose has 2 balls on him. No problem at all. The whole country nods in agreement. But the announcer can't tell you that he hurt his He can't tell Tony Kubek, Tony, I think he hurt his that play. It looks like it. He's holding on to them. Well, that's right. Generally, when he hurt their they hold him, and he's holding his, and I'd say he's hurt him. Never mention injuries. They don't say the were hurt. They say groin injuries. He had a groin injury. Do you know why we call it a groin injury? That's the noise you make when you get hit there. Groin! Now then, the other word I wanted to remind you of was the word which of course is the champ of the all-time dirty words. When they're always dirty, by God, is right at the head of the pack. It's a good, strong word. It's a good, strong word for its purpose, and it's a word that a lot of people have trouble with. It's an honest word. It's a forceful word. It has a lot of emotional baggage with it. When you hear the word you're not just hearing the word, you're hearing everything you ever heard about I mean, we have a lot of attitudes about some of them are rational and some of them aren't. Some of them have joy in them, some have guilt and fear and all sorts of things, and the word carries with it a lot of emotional baggage. When they say you go, what? Oh, good. Oh, I thought you meant do it right away. God, you know, it's just a word that, well, it'll clear the room awfully quick in some households. It's a heavy, good, strong word. It's a proud-sounding word to me. I am who are you? Of the mountain. I just feel the word is getting a bad shake. The word has an image problem. The word needs public relations help. It's just a word. You know, that's what you have to remember. It's just a word, but it's in such bad shape. Here's a word that started out okay, started out all right. Nothing wrong with the word originally. I mean, there it was. You're not a bad word. You're not a bad word. You've just gotten in with bad company. People. That's all. Just the word was all it was. The word in the original Old English, as best I can find, only meant to hit, to smite, to perhaps hit with a stick, to the tree, to the rock, to thee. That's all. And pretty soon, that's all. I'll hit you with me, honey. Look at that. That's all it was. Just a little, I'll knock a little on you there. That's all it was a love tap when you get right down to it. That's all ever meant. All ever meant was to make love and to make life at the same time. That's pretty magic. I mean, the pretty noble things we think about, making love and making life. Here was hanging around with words like love and life. How did it get such a bad reputation? We f***ed it up. Yeah, well, we put the aggression back into the word. F*** yo. F*** yo, yo, f***. F*** yo, yo, f***. Who the f*** you think you're f***ing with? Some kind of a f***head? F*** you. Who the f*** you think you're f***ing with? Me? Don't f*** with me, I'll f*** over you. You f*** with me and you'll get f***ed, you f***. Don't f*** with me, I'm the f***er. Don't f*** with the f***er. God, it sounds like combat, man. It's got an awful lot, there's an awful lot of hostility in the way that word is used. There's an awful lot of aggression going down in the name of f***ing. Imagine that. I'd just like to help a little. My feeling was, hey, here's a word that maybe we could save, you know, just by paying a little close attention to it. But trouble is, with all that aggression and all that violence, that we lose track of those two things, and people start talking about sex and violence like they're one thing. There's some sort of an overlapping. There's some sort of a gray area between sex and violence that some people really are confused about. There are people running around talking about sex and violence as if it's one thing, as if it starts with an S and ends with an E. We're going to stamp it out of the comics. We're going to stamp it out of the Dixie Cup. We're going to stamp it out of Holmes. Sex and violence, hey, they are different after all. And some people even like them together. There are true people who do like a little violence with their sex. I don't care for that myself. I like my violence a little earlier in the afternoon, you know. Long about 2 o'clock, a real good chicken, and then everything's all right. But the word make love, not war. Someone pointed it out finally. They made it very clear for us. Make love, not war. I wish I had thought of that phrase, you know? I really would have been very happy with myself if I had thought of that one. Man, I would have retired the same day. I would have left my car at the red light, man. I say, that's it, folks. I'm going to the beach. You got it. Make love, not war. Well, I didn't think of it. But I do have my own phrase. Make not kill. It's not as graceful a phrase, but I'm not looking to retire either. It's fun. The whole idea of make not kill is simply to switch the meanings of the words. I suggest that for 1 year, we trade meanings on and kill. Just for kill and kill for that's it. Don't worry about what they really are. Someone else will take care of real and real killing. I'm just worried about what we call it, them. We call them and killing. I say switch them around. I think it would be an insight. I think we'd get a new slant on how we feel about these words if we just changed for killing for about a year, that's all. Imagine it. Sure would be fun watching TV during that time. Huh? Better get down off the horse, Sheriff. We're fixing to you now. Mad f***er still on the loose. Not anymore. He's made his first big mistake, my friend. He f***ed a cop today. That makes him a cop f***er. Shamu, the f***er whale. Oh. And to f*** a mockingbird. Hold gently by the wing. So all I'm trying to suggest is that f*** you can be a positive phrase. If you hear it from across the street, f*** you, okay.